All right, hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are looking at Chapter 3, Section 2.2. So in today's lesson, we're going to look at French settlements in North America, specifically Canada. We're going to look at the French settling and founding New France, and then we're going to look at how the British ended up taking over New France. And our main idea for today is that conflict between the British and the French shaped the development of Canada. So as European colonies grew, the British and the French competed for land in North America. Their conflict had a major influence on the development of Canada as a nation. In 1534, French explorer Jacques Cartier sailed into the Gulf of St. Lawrence and claimed the area as New France. Later, he sailed down the St. Lawrence River as far as present-day Montreal. So this exploration was important because it opened up a really profitable fur trade with Native Americans. French traders would exchange European goods for beaver pelts, which were used to make hats that were really popular back in Europe. And then in the early 1600s, Samuel de Champlain built Quebec, which was the first major settlement of New France. In 1672, Louis Joliet and Jacques Marquette left New France to explore the Mississippi River. They learned that the river flowed through Spanish territory into the Gulf of Mexico. So something that you'll notice about a lot of these cities in Canada is that many of them have very French roots to the names. Things like Quebec. There's also a lake called Lake Champlain, kind of up north there. And there are actually a lot of people in Canada who still speak French today. Many Canadians are actually bilingual, meaning they speak two languages, those languages in Canada being mainly French and English. So that's one of the interesting pieces of culture that is left from the beginnings of New France and Canada. So most people in New France were farmers. However, farming was more difficult here than in the British colonies that were farther south. The soil was not as productive, and the colder climate made the growing season shorter. As a result, New France never had a large population. In fact, by the early 1700s, New France had far fewer people than the British colonies in North America. Something that I find really interesting is that the French generally got along better with Native Americans than the British did. So there were a couple groups of French people who did get along really well with the Native Americans, with some Native Americans, and had positive contacts with them. These two groups were the voyageurs, who were adventurous men who traveled the area to trade with Native Americans for furs, and missionaries, who were sent by the Roman Catholic Church to convince Native Americans to accept Christianity. So the contact between voyageurs, missionaries, and Native Americans was often pretty cooperative and usually quite peaceful. So something that we see pop up again and again and again in history is that the British and the French were really big rivals. Here's Louis, because he can't stay out of the video. Can you? Nope, you can't. So the British and French were rivals for power in this region, like in many, many other regions. War actually erupted in 1754 over whether a specific area of the upper Ohio River belonged to Britain or France. However, the more underlying bigger issue at the time was who was going to gain a stronger hold of North America. This part of land that they were fighting over would end up swaying the power balance for either Britain or France. So because of greater military and financial resources, the British conquered Quebec, and in 1760, they actually gained control of the rest of New France. With tension growing in the American colonies, Britain needed loyalty from its French subjects in Quebec. In 1774, the British passed the Quebec Act, which strengthened elements of French culture. The Quebec Act established a French system of law and allowed the mostly Catholic population freedom to practice their religion. So after the American Revolution, some people who were loyal to Britain actually migrated to Quebec from the United States. As a result, Quebec today has both pretty strong French and English influences. So a couple of important things to remember from this section. Canada was shaped, Quebec specifically, but all of Canada was shaped heavily by both British and French influences. And from the beginnings of North America, the British and the French fought over who would control more of the continent. Thanks for listening, guys. Go ahead and check back in Canvas to see what your next job is, and I will see you guys later. Bye.